Y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I've been mad busy as of late. Between getting my butt handed to me on Devil May Cry 3, recording the next Platinum video, working a job, and doing a very special Persona video that will be coming soon, I promise I did not quit Persona, I've been trying to find the time to sink my teeth into the Raidou Remaster. I've been interested in this game, but I didn't know if I'd get the chance to make a video on it or even play it. But I'm really glad I got around to it, even if I am late to the party. I think this remaster is the best one Atlus has ever done, especially as of recently. Now, I do have to give a thank you to Sega and Atlus for giving me the game for this video and sponsoring this video, but just to prove that I am saying what I actually think, I'm going to go into some of the things I was worried about when I was going into this game. Y'all know I'm a big Persona 4 Arena Ultimax fan. I gush about the game every chance I get here on the channel, even though it's not a very popular game. But I would be lying if I said that remaster across the various systems was very good. So I was a bit worried going into this game. I mean, the trailers all look amazing, there's no doubt about that, but so did the Ultimax ones. I'm not going to go too deep into my feelings on those ports, but basically the online has issues, the upscaling was kinda off, and the game launched in a near unplayable state. With the thought in the back of my head that one of my favorite fighting games of all time had been handled in that way, those same thoughts crept into my head regarding this game as well, but I'm happy to say that Raidou did not have the same issue. In fact, it was the opposite. It's clear that the developers and director Kazuyuki Yamai loved this game and wanted to do it pure justice. Since the game has been stuck on the PS2 generation for nearly 20 years, having been initially released back in 2006, it's great to see preservation done in this way, not only remastering the game, but making it the definitive version. Even as someone who never played the original Raidou games on PlayStation 2, I think there's something here for most Atlus or action game fans to enjoy. This puts me in a bit of a different position as my homies and fellow content creators like Nam, Bubble Tea, so on and so forth. But this does let me share a different perspective as someone whose first experience is with this remaster. I'm sure a lot of you will be in the same boat as me, so allow me to share my honest views of why I think this game is such an impressive piece of work. I hope you enjoy. Normally in these reviews, I would start with the story and go on from there, but since this is such a good remaster, I'm going to start on what makes it a good remaster first and foremost. There's a lot to go over here because really this game is bordering on being a full remake, but the cliff notes of what we'll be going over are the upgraded visuals, overhauled battle system, voice acting, and some smaller quality of life things. The visuals are a bit of a hot topic when it comes to this remaster. Some argue they like the PlayStation 2 style more, which I can understand actually. As someone who grew up with the PlayStation 2, has their favorite game from the PS2, basically lived and breathed the system in my younger years, I get the love and appreciation for the graphics and games of that system. It's like a sacred thing you can't imagine being touched at all in its standard definition 4x3 perfection. In my opinion though, I think the Raidou Remaster is a natural evolution of the PS2 era of Atlus to the modern Atlus we all know and love, and it's clear to me they put a lot of love and care into the game. Since the original director was heading this game as I mentioned before, it's likely that this is what the game was envisioned to be from the start. Obviously this isn't me trying to say the original game looks bad by the way, it still has that charm of the PS2 generation, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't like the remaster's presentation more. The vibrant, lively environments you roam around in, the character and demon models, it's all substantially improved. What was immediately noticeable to me was that many demon models in this game were updated to be the models used in Shin Megami Tensei 5, and alongside that, we even got new demons from SMT5 added to the game retroactively. Demons like Neko Shogun and Eden, my GOAT healer, I love Eden bro, she's so goated. They were able to make an appearance here, and with these new demons in mind, the game has well over 120 demons for you to use in battle. I'll talk more about the gameplay and combat itself here in a second, but as you'd expect from an Atlus game, the more demons and options, the better. Really, I just love looking at this game in general. Whether I'm in the dark, demon-infested areas, the normal cities, or I'm roaming around the various areas you traverse throughout the story, it is really good at setting the mood of the game, so I have to give my props where it's due. They have far surpassed every other remaster they've ever done in this regard, but of course that's only one piece of the puzzle. Even more dramatic and important than the visuals were the changes made to the gameplay. Now this is a topic I made sure to do some research on before talking about it, because I've seen some bold statements made about the original version's gameplay. One of my best friends who loved the original Raidou said the gameplay wasn't too great at times, and based on what I've seen from footage and talking to him about it, the Raidou Remastered transforms the game into a whole new combat system. The best comparison I can give to my Persona viewers out there is that it's kind of like a more fleshed out version of Persona 5 Strikers. It has that nice hack and slash gameplay, but since you have more upgrade options between Raidou and your demons, there's a lot more to experiment with. For a non-Atlus example, if you've ever played Metal Gear Rising, it sort of has a similar design to that game. It's not as in-depth as something like DMC3, but that's not what the game is going for. It gives you a simple combat system that you can experiment with, and that alongside the natural progression system of the game, it just flows super well. Every battle you go into, you have to think to yourself, okay, what are the enemy demons weak to? What are my demons weak to? What affinities do all the demons have? What demons do I have in my stock? Which demons will I summon if one dies? What weapon will I have on Raidou? Which skills will I have equipped? What items do I have? There's a lot to keep in mind actually. The biggest change of all though, and I can't believe I didn't lead with this point, is that the battles are now in free camera mode, allowing you to view the battle in a full 360-degree camera angle. In the original game, the battles had a set camera view which made it quite jarring at times, but this change makes it look and feel so much more natural. On top of the fact that you have more demons as I mentioned before, the AI is better, Raidou can now jump, because yes, he could not jump before, and you can summon 2 demons at a time instead of 1. This is not the same game anymore. If you happen to play the sequel Raidou Kuzunoha vs King Abaddon, it's more akin to that combat system. There are simple combos, it's not hard to understand or pick up, but it's just satisfying to play, which I think is the most important thing at the end of the day. It's hard to put into words how much the gameplay structure has been rebuilt from the ground up, but seriously, it's absolutely insane how much work they put into this game's combat. Another massive thumbs up for me. Since the next topic of voice acting goes hand in hand with the story, we can talk about these together. The game takes place in the Taishō era of Japan, and you take the role of Raidou Kuzunoha XIV to protect the capital as a devil summoner. You work as a detective and investigate all across the city to solve cases. But of course, nothing is ever as simple as it seems with these games, is it? You come across various demons and fearful foes as one rabbit hole leads to another, and before you know it, you've spiraled down a point of no return. It all begins when a girl asks the Narumi Detective Agency, the place you work for, to kill her. Upon making this request, she is kidnapped, and it's up to you to solve the case. Along your journey, you'll meet characters like Narumi, Tai, and more to keep you company. I mention Narumi and Tai specifically because they're some of the first characters you meet, and I love them. Narumi is this lazy bum that sends you to do most of the grunt work, and Tai is a spirited journalist who's always on the look for the next big scoop. I call him lazy, but really I do think he's a fun character. In general, the story is something that, while being fairly serious, knows how to have fun and not take itself overly serious. It's not as grungy as something like Digital Devil Saga. You can choose goofy dialogue options that make the game a blast, and since a large portion of this game is fully voice acted now, you can enjoy it just that much more. Having fun, goofy moments like this to break up the serious ones goes a long way in making a game an enjoyable experience for me. It's why I love Narumi, but if you want to stay locked in on the story itself, you can always choose the more serious dialogue options. I wouldn't say Raidou is as deep as something like Persona or other SMT games, but it doesn't need to be because that's not really what the game is going for. It's simply a fun and rewarding story to experience, and I'm actually a big fan of it. Oh yeah, by the way, I've been casually mentioning the voice acting, but the original version on PS2 basically didn't have a dub whatsoever. Like, they completely redubbed the game in English and Japanese for this remaster. You've got familiar faces like Aigis' English voice actress Dawn Bennett making an appearance, and so on and so forth. I'll save those surprises for you to see for yourself, but I do like the voice acting of this game a lot. It's on the same level as Persona or SMT5 for sure, and it complements the tone and story perfectly. By this point, I've talked about the heavy hitter topics I wanted to touch on, but there are a few smaller things I'd like to give this game credit for. First off, the UI is great. I absolutely love the aesthetic they're going for here with the flowers flowing across the screen. It's just beautiful. It honestly might be up there with Persona 3 Reload for me just on a pure visual standpoint. It's kind of like an in-between point between the PS2 era and the modern era of Atlus's UI design. It's simple but effective, and it's easy to see where on the menu I want to go. I've never opened the menu and been like, oh geez, where the hell is that option I'm looking for? I can't find it. So the UI presentation gets glowing praise from me. Another quality of life thing I was a fan of was the detective journal. If you've played Metaphor ReFantazio, you might be familiar with the encyclopedia of that game, where it gives you information on all the various things in the game. The detective journal in this game functions the same way basically. It'll give you your tutorials on how to play the game, and it acts as your general glossary for the game. Forgot a certain topic the story is talking about? Well, no problem, just pop out the journal and you can find what you're looking for. It's really useful if you're like me and playing long sessions at a time. It's sometimes easy to forget or overlook certain plot points or topics, so stuff like this comes in clutch, cause I can't tell you the amount of times I've looked something up for a game and been spoiled in the process. It makes me very sad. but now we can avoid that trauma. Yay! The last feature that juxtaposes the one I just mentioned is the quick save feature. If you're someone who can't play for long periods of time, or you have something you gotta do on a short notice, you can make a quick save instantly in the menu to save your progress. I used this feature religiously when I was playing SMT5 Vengeance for the first time, so I know for sure a lot of people will get good use out of this feature. Atlus really tried to cover all their bases when it came to the features and quality, but there are a few minor grievances I have with the game that I would like to touch on. The first thing is that sometimes when I get a new mission objective, if I'm not paying close attention to exactly what it said to do or where to go, it can be a little confusing to find where to go next. Sometimes the minimap will show exactly where to go, sometimes it won't. You kind of just have to pay attention to where it said to go, which isn't a big deal because you can just double check it in the menu, but it's just something you gotta get used to. The other thing is that while the combat is fun, sometimes I feel like the battles can go on for a lot longer than I feel like they should. Now, I'm not opposed to battles taking time. I mean, SMT games, the battles usually do take a little bit longer. But I don't know if I just suck at this game or what, because some battles, I don't know, they just took forever, man. Maybe I was underleveled or something, I'm not too sure, but that was definitely a pattern I noticed. Some people might like this though, so there's that. The only other grievance I have besides those things I just mentioned is that the PC settings are very bare bones. Atlus usually don't give too many options to play with in their PC ports, so I kind of expected this, but I'd love for the settings to be a little more fleshed out in their games one day. So those were my honest thoughts on Raidou Remastered, the mystery of the Soulless Army. The game has certainly come a long way since its initial debut back on PS2 in 2006, and I hope this paves the way for future games to get remasters as well. I know people who would kill for a digital Devil Saga remaster with this same level of quality, so here's hoping we can see it someday. Whether we see that, Raidou 2 remastered, or whatever is next in store for Atlus, I'm just glad to see they finally brought their A game to the table after a somewhat lackluster lineup of remasters under their belts. I'm still looking at you, Ultimax. Thank you again to Sega and Atlus for sponsoring this video and letting me say what I wanted to say. I know I was a little hard on Ultimax, but I'm glad y'all were good sports about it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider dropping a like and a sub. It helps the channel out a lot, and I'll give you a free cookie as always. Here you go, homie. It's been your boy Yandere Gogeta, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out, everybody, and have a great day.